Master of the House. Let's get it.
It's Netflix time. Master of the House, episode 1. So it starts with this guy by the name of Runji. They show him falling off his balcony, hitting the floor, done deal daddy shit. Who's the person standing over him? So everybody's at the estate, the family members, including his 2 sons. One named Fu, one named Maven. Runji used to make jewelry, enough to where it became a $10 billion company, and his sons run part of the estate. At Runji's death, the police say it's just an accident. So they ended up having a funeral in the house. Now, this lady by the name of Kai was sitting in the front, but then the brother's sister's Paula is like, family members only, get to the back. Now, they have a lot of servants at this estate. Kai happens to be one of the top servants, so why was she trying to sit in the front? Well, we gotta take you back a couple days. Now, Paula has a son by the name of Terry that just mooches off the family. He's trying to get cars or whatever like that, but he's going to school, but that's a whole other issue. Runji's in the room with his 2 sons. Fu was talking to his dad about this diamond mine thing, right? He's trying to get him to cut a deal with it because the person that was a diamond mine is like a best friend of Fu's. Maven's trying to get him to hold off on it. And well, so while this is going on, Kai is instructed to bring Runji some food or whatever like that. Servant stuff. So while they're arguing back and forth, Runji stops them and asks for Kai's opinion. Kai says she should take the time with the merger. So the brother's already pissed off. They're thinking to themselves, why is he taking advice over a servant over us? Like he puts more trust in her, right? So Paula reassures Maven that's exactly what she is. Fu on the other side is trying to get this deal done as quick as possible because he doesn't want the competition to snatch up the diamond mine. But the thing is, the competition is bankrupt and is about to foreclose. But I think Fu has other reasons for trying to get this diamond mine. So it gets to this point, all these family members get together. It's like a birthday celebration or something. More like a birthday dinner for Runji. But Runji got together because he has an announcement to make. But before he can do that, his son Maven gives him a Rolex. Fu gives him a bonsai tree that's like 111 years old. Excellent gifts, but all he wants his sons for is just to be happy and, prosper and all those other stuff, right? But he gets them together to announce that Kai is going to be his official wife. I'm like, what? So yeah, Runji is going to make Kai his wife. Signs off on the paperwork and everything. Now the thing is, his actual wife had died years ago. Apparently her most prized possession was this red necklace. When Runji gives Kai this necklace, you could tell the brothers are pissed the fuck off. Fu is distraught. Later on, he confronts his dad. Runji said he could do what he wanted, his property. Maven in another room is smashing one of the servants. And then she's looking at him like, well, I'll be able to be like Kai one day. And he's got that face like, bitch, you know who the fuck I am? So we get back to present time at the funeral, right? Now, Maven's walking around. And he goes towards his uncle. Now, the question he's trying to ask him is like, yo, who's in the will? But the uncle says he's going to let everybody know at the same time. Now, obviously, Maven's thinking to himself, Kai's in the will. He ends up getting Kai in the car and going for a ride, right? So basically, he don't want her to sign any other paperwork, right? He's willing to give her $10 million and tell her to go about her business. She ain't trying to take it. And he also knows that she called the police about the incident. So he basically drives her in the middle of nowhere, kicks her out, gives her the fucking money, and dips off. Last thing we see is her walking back to the estate. This is about to be wild as shit.
Episode 2.
Master of the House, episode 2. So now Kai's basically back in the house. So she's going down there to eat with Maven, Paula, her son Terry, Fu's wife Araki, and their daughter. Kai starts choking and all of a sudden she got hair in her food. We're like, the fuck? Paula tries to make an example out of one of the cooks, but we would clearly see that the hair was blonde. Everybody in that house has got black hair. The only person that's got blonde hair in the entire house, Paula. Nevertheless, Paula is going to make Kai look like a respectable lady instead of a servant because they got to go to this charity event. Now, at the same charity event, Maven tells Terry not to fuck up because they got this like horse jockeying competition. But the thing is, his opponent works for the company Geneva Gems, the ones they were trying to get the contract off of. Now, Fu wasn't at the table when they weren't eating, so you're thinking to yourself, where the heck was he at? He was on business. Business doing what? This dude's at the office talking to executives trying to get Maven to resign from his position. We're like, what? There was some garbage scandal up there about Maven smashing some secretary or whatever like that. The point is, he's trying to get him up out of there. But the real reason is, Fu feels like Maven is not responsible enough to have the position anyway. Meanwhile, Kai's talking to one of the servants in her room, and she knows the family's out to get her because they don't want her signing any documents causing inheritance to the will. But to Kai, it's all about finding out who killed Runji because she knows this shit was not an accident. Maven, however, ends up meeting up with the uncle, trying to pressure him to give over the inheritance. But Unc ain't falling for this shit, even after he tried to give him diamonds and promised him a piece of it. Then we see the servant Kiki walk in the room, right? Other servants are watching this movie. We actually find out Paula was actually a movie star. So she goes into a room, we get some little backstory on Kiki. We find out her brother was the one that introduced her to Maven in the first place. So back in real time, he's getting head from whatever like that. She starts coughing. Then we find out she's pregnant. We find out how much of a fucker Maven is. He's like, nah, you gotta get rid of the baby. Then he starts berating her like, oh, you thought you was gonna come up like Kai did? Fuck out of here. So her brother's telling her, yeah, we can get up out of here. But she's like, nah, I don't want you going back to being a crook and me going back to selling my body. Man, that shit is wild. Then we go back to Kai in her room. She's been actually checking security and surveillance footage but couldn't find nothing. Now, at the charity event, Terry ends up losing the competition 3-2. You know, maybe they gonna like that shit, even though it is a charity event. Now, Paula was the one helping out Kai, dolled her up and everything like that, right? So she's actually about to come to the event. This is on the other side where she's got to make her speech. She's got this red dress on with the red necklace. But when Fu and the Reiki see her, they look surprised. Turns out the event is like a black and white affair. And they got Kai standing out looking crazy. Of course, this is all part of Paula's plan. Now, the thing is, when they get into the room, Kai's got to make a speech in honor of the late Ruki, obviously. Runji, my bad. The thing is, she can't make the speech because they asked her to speak in English. She doesn't know English. I'm thinking to myself, everybody there is Korean. Why the fuck she need to speak English? But then Paula takes over and she speaks English. It's all a damn setup. So it's two sides of the families here. We can see that Fu and his wife feel sorry for her. Obviously, Maven and Paula try to get her to help out of there. So she wants to go back to being a servant. She bows down to Paula as she puts her foot on her neck. I'm like, what the fuck? I feel like it's just a ploy, though. As far as Kiki and her brother go, we see them driving off in the rain. So you thinking to yourself, are they really about to leave the estate? I feel like somehow this is going to come back to bite Maven on his ass. And I feel like Kai bowing down to Paula is going to send her in a false sense of security.
Here we go, episode 3.
So we find out Kai's best friend is his another servant. We call her B. Like B-E-E. Anyway, we find out Fu and Reiki's daughter's name happens to be Kita. Now remember, Mavis' son's name is Terry, whom Mavis is married to Paula. Maven, my bad. Now then, Kita's got B trying out these dresses with these two fashion dudes or whatever. But then she gets jealous of B and we're like, why? Because B's the one that's trying them on. So she makes her strip in front of the other two guys just so she can put her regular clothes back on. I'm like, what the fuck? Later on, we see Kita going to this club and then like Terry meets her there. This other girl jumps into Terry's arms. Kita gets jealous and then she tries to leave out. He chases her down when the servant gets him in the car, gets him ready to go. And then I'm thinking to myself, why is she getting jealous? And I'm like, oh no. Kita on the low has been smashing Terry. What the fuck? There's gotta be a goddamn incest angle. Then we got everybody sitting at the table. The uncle's there, so you know what this means? It's time for the inheritance to be passed out. Paula and Ricky get good portions. Fu keeps a good share, but when it comes to Maven, boy, this nigga Maven gets to be the president of the whole goddamn gym company. How the fuck did he get all that? Well, it turns out at the charity event a while ago, Maven ends up blackmailing the uncle. He threatens to blast his daughter all over the news doing shit she ain't supposed to be doing. Maven's a diabolical fiend. So by him doing this, of course, Kai gets nothing. But the thing is, Kai don't really want nothing. She wants to figure out who killed Runji. So Kai ends up getting Fu and Reiki in the room, and she wants to give him the red necklace back. She wants them to trust her to find proof that, you know what I'm saying, of who killed Runji. We all feel like Maven had something to do with it. Meanwhile, Maven's already changed around stuff in the office. He done moved Fu down to the bottom floor. He just taking over shit. Kai ends up chilling with B for the night. Now, think about B. She's always taking care of Kita's dog. We found out B actually put a security camera on the dog. So Kai's going through the footage, and she sees that Terry was coming out of one of the rooms on that fateful night. So later on, we get to the scene where B is making these designs, right? Turns out she was the one actually behind making designs for the dresses. Now, the thing is, the fashion designer guys come in while she's doing this, right? And they pretty much figure she was the brains behind the operation. Because she wants to be a fashion designer when she gets out to the estate. But obviously, she needs their money to make it happen. Kita saw all this going down. This pisses her off. She comes off out behind her, berating her, and then she sticks her hand in the fucking sewing machine. Yeah, Kita ain't shit. So B's gotta get her hand worked on. Kita ends up going to her boyfriend, Terry. Ugh. And their plan is to get out of here and go to New York. Because Terry's thinking about going back there anyway. I think he already finished school and whatnot. But the thing is, Maven's supposed to have this presentation in the backyard, you know what I'm saying? Him becoming the new president and whatnot, right? But then he talks to his son, Terry, and basically he wants to leave him the legacy when he dies. But he don't even really rock with his son like that. He's just using him as a tool. Then we see somebody giving the dog treats. The dog gets treats all the way to this back room. Now, this back room, Terry and Kita usually go there. They usually get the smashing back there. Maven's doing the presentation, does his video package, right? The video package cuts to the dog's camera. And it shows Terry and Kita back there smashing like, what the Fu, rightfully so, is pissed off his damn daughter. Maven smacking around Terry talking about you embarrassed me. He's like, man, fuck that. I know what you did to granddad. He's like, what? So we find out Maven was the last one in the room with Runji when he died. Terry just happened to be at the bottom steps where everything took place. But the thing was, when everything went down, Terry was the one that went into the room and took the camera footage. And then he hid it somewhere in the couch. Meanwhile, real time, while the presidential ceremony thing was going down, Kai was looking all over the room to try to find any type of evidence. She ended up finding the camera footage. Terry ends up getting in his car and dipping the fuck out. Terry ends up driving past some bikers and they're like, hey man, let's follow him. But they can't catch him. Then there's one biker's in the middle of the road that stops him. He gets out the car. The biker just starts beating the shit out of him. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm pretty sure B was the one that let the dog loose, but I'm not sure because she had to get taken care of her fingers. And Kai was already in the house searching for shit. So now I wonder who really did let the dog loose. Just a whole bunch of calamity and mayhem.
Episode 4.
So we see Terry, he's still alive, he beat up in the hospital, he all fucked up. We get this backstory with Terry and this dude named Joke. Now they used to be friends, but Terry was driving drunk, he ended up killing this old man. So Terry had to call his father Maven. Joke had to spend a couple of years in jail. When he got out, he would get money and be his permanent driver. So we assumed Joke was the one that fucked up Terry, but it turns out, Joke was in the same damn hospital, he was fucked up too. Keita wants to see Terry at the hospital, but Fu not letting that shit happen. Turns out it's already a big-ass scandal anyway. Incest and shit. But later on, Kai ends up showing Fu the camera footage, right? Which basically shows Maven being the last one out of the office. But it doesn't really show him killing Runji. So basically he gives his evidence to the police. Meanwhile, we find out Kiki got rid of the baby. He's back to working with Maven, barking like a damn dog. And we find out her brother's name is Tien. Tien is Maven's personal driver. B's just chilling in the back with the dog. All of a sudden, Maven comes up to her. Then, next day, B's not there. Kai asks what's going on. It was like, yeah, they said B on vacation. I'm like, so Kai's got to know something's up, right? Yeah. So the thing is, Kai wants to look for B, but the thing is, she can't leave yet. Because Fu just gave the CT footage to, like, the deputy or whatever, like the officer in command. So they need to talk to everybody, collect evidence on the information of what happened on the birthday night. So they're basically telling the experiences of what happened that night, but a lot of the evidence is pointing to Maven. But while they're getting all this information, Maven's not at the house yet. So Maven finally gets to the house, the deputy comes, he walks right past them and leaves. We're like, what the fuck? Come to find out, deputy gets a call from a supervisor, says the case is dropped, ended. We're like, what? Then we find out Maven paid off the deputy to drop the case. I'm like, damn. Got him in the back pocket. Afterwards, Kai's on her way to look for B. She's not in the other spots, and she hasn't been home for months. She ends up going to B's sister's restaurant, and she ain't seen her neither. So we're thinking to ourselves, did Maven just done deal B? But then Maven got a phone call from the deputy, and he finds out who fucked up Terry. So Maven's in the car with Tien and Joke. They go to this bridge where the area's closed off, and he tells Tien to toss Joke off the bridge. Then all of a sudden, Tien says he's not going to do it because he says, it was me. I'm like, what? All right, so we get back to the scene where Terry got beat up, right? Joe gets there to try to stop Tien from beating up Terry, but the reason he's beating him up in the first place, Tien is actually B's boyfriend, and he believes he has something to do with B getting killed. I'm like, wait, B's dead? So the thing is, Joke tells Tien to beat up Joke a little bit, right? Because the first thing Maven is going to expect if Terry's fucked up, he's going to think Joke has something to do with it. And we find out Tien and Joke are damn near brothers. So then Maven pulls out a gun and tells Joke to push Tien off the fucking bridge. But Tien knows he's not going to do it, so he ends up throwing himself off the fucking bridge. Man, that shit is crazy. And what's even more crazy, Kai gets back to the estate, and all these mates are horrified watching this video. Now, what video are they watching? They end up saying B is still alive, but she's trapped in a fucking cage. I'm like, what in all of the fuck? Paula didn't do much in this episode. She's just overwhelmed that Terry's in the hospital. Maven's got all the control, all the power, and he's just going crazy. The question is now, can Maven be stopped? Man, this shit here, yo.
Episode 5.
So Maven pretty much kicked Fu out the company, and on top of that, he's kicking him out the house. So he sent him to another house within like a week. So Fu consults with his wife, Reiki. So the thing is, Terry needs a heart transplant, right? But he's the only one that's got connections to be able to get him a heart. But the thing is, he wants Paula to trade for her estate and the shares or whatnot. If he gets that, he'll have more money than Maven and be able to take back his estate and become president again. She talks to Paula and gets the shit done. Kiki finds out from Joke that Tien's dead as shit. Kai goes to see B, who they finally let out the cage. Lord knows what the fuck they did to her while she was in there. Bottom line, she was all messed up. Kai goes to Joke asking him like, hey, you gonna do something about this? I mean, he was in a fucked up situation because he could have died too. Is he gonna atone for it? So Maven's got this annual event coming up on a boat, right? He's gonna meet some type of investor named Pedro. All the servants are gonna be there being ready to do their job. But Maven trying to get some property out of this shit. Speaking of Maven, Fu comes to confront him, right? Telling him about the shares and whatnot. But this is where they fucked up. Boy. It turns out Paula did give Fu his shares, but the thing is, it's only like 1%. And he's like, what? Turns out Paula ended up giving Maven most of her shares before Fu even considered this shit. So he got once again, he feeling stupid. So we're like, damn, now what's Fu gonna do? Then we get this one scene where Maven calls Kai in the room. He starts taking pictures of her doing all types of like creepy shit. But he wants to know that she's on the team. He can't have nobody living in the house not following orders and shit. Then we at the beach party with Marvin and Pedro. Maven and Pedro. When Pedro asks us about Fu, all of a sudden he pops up on the boat. So Maven's like, what the fuck? Turns out Fu and Pedro have known each other for a long time. But he doesn't know that Maven fired Fu from the daggone company. So he's playing on innocent all hunky-dory like everything's supposed to be all good. Later on throughout the night, they start gambling. And Maven's like, yo, let him win. I'm trying to get these shares. Fu was like, the fuck that got to do with me? Nevertheless, he lets him win. Joker's getting some stuff prepared, and he ends up talking to B, and he's like, yo, the plan's in order. He's like, what plan? That's what we're thinking. Pedro's got his eye on Kai. Bottom line, he ends up winning her as a damn prize. You can tell Fu doesn't really want to go along with this shit, and you know Maven don't give a fuck. Pedro ends up taking Kai on the boat. He's like trying to get her drunk, have his way with her and whatnot. Then we got Maven on a separate boat with Fu and Joke on it. Everybody's toasting a celebration back on the main boat. Then all of a sudden, an explosion comes out of nowhere. We're like, what the fuck exploded? Did Maven, Fu, and Joke get done deal? But then I'm thinking to myself, no, Joke and B had this plan together, so it couldn't be that happened, right? So did Pedro and Kai get blown up? But Kai had, you know what I'm saying, no reason for her to get blown up. It's like, what the heck is going on with that? Back on the regular boat, everybody else seen the explosion. So who the hell got blown up? Guess I'm going to tune into episode 6 and find out, right? Then there's one scene before the boat thing happens, right? So Kiki's about to get Maven a bottle, right? So Kiki looks at him, he's like, you killed my brother, didn't you? So at that point, I'm thinking she about to smash Maven with the damn bottle. And it looks like she did at one point. You thinking like, oh my God, Maven about to be dead as shit this early. But I guess she smashed it against a wall or something? Because she acted like she was dancing on him, and then she starts stripping, and she goes in another room, and all of a sudden he just gets back up. And then he gets to smashing her. And I was like, yo. So that's the mind manipulation. You don't even want to get revenge off of your brother death, you know what I'm saying? She's just that into Maven, yo. This shit is crazy.
Episode 6.
So we get back to the explosion and what the hell happened. So Joke, Fu, and Maven were on the boat, right? They were going out to the spot where they were lighting fireworks. Maven's talking to Fu like, why'd you even follow me out here? You know what I'm saying? Then Maven asks Fu, did you kill our dad? He's like, what? So we get this flashback to Fu as a kid. He was breaking up his father's stuff. This servant named Yupin would take the blame for all of his shit. And I guess Runji would discipline her or whatever like that. But then we seen her at one point where she was shackled to the bed. I'm like, what the fuck? The crazy thing is Rupin's been there the whole time. In fact, she's the leader and caretaker of all the other servants. We're gonna get more on Rue's resentment in a minute. Next thing you know, Maven starts stumbling over, and Fu then pushes him off the fucking boat. He basically spiked his drink so his body wouldn't move. I'm like, yo. Fu and Joke then jump off the boat, but not before Joke pours gasoline on it and lights that bitch on fire, and that's when you see the explosion. I'm like, what the fuck? The police rescued both of them, but they couldn't find Maven. Until they did somehow, but he's in critical condition. So they gotta get him to a hospital, right? Yeah, so Fu's telling the paramedics to get him to the best hospital he can. The only thing is, the hospital they're talking about is far away. Basically, Fu does not want him to survive before making it to the hospital. And halfway there, while he's in the ambulance, Maven conks out. Maven is officially done deal dead as shit. Fu afterwards holds the funeral, takes back control of Jiva Jim's company, he's now president again, gives all the maids and servants a shit ton of money. But the thing is, Kai gives him the money back. He just wanted justice for Runji. Then later on, Fu makes a phone call to the uncle and wants to talk to him about the inheritance stuff. But then Fu finds out the inheritance was forged. And because the uncle was blackmailed, Maven had forged all the inheritance to him from the get-go, supposedly. This sends Fu in a fucking rage. He goes up to Paula, concerned that she knew about this the whole time, and kicks her out the fucking house. Then he goes to his wife, Reiki, and we find out this. Their deal is that she was actually there for the piece of the inheritance, and his father forced them to get married. But what she doesn't know is, ain't no inheritance for her to get. So afterwards, he talks to his competitors at Diamond Mine, and this is what he wants to do. Fu goes to see the Diamond Mine guys, and basically their father's been competing with each other for like the last 30 years or some shit like that, right? He wants to actually join forces with them. But even more than that, they have this nice little dinner set up at his estate. He actually wants to sell them to Geneva Jim's company and sell the house too. So now they're thinking the obvious question, like, why do you want to do this? The thing is, he's always resented his father. He's always resented everything about the house. He says he never wanted to be in a diamond business in the first place. He just wants to live his own life and forget everything about this house. They're apprehensive about it, but they're definitely considering it. So the servants are probably thinking to themselves, what's going to happen to them if he sells everything? Nevertheless, he gets drunk and goes upstairs in his room. The next day, the uncle comes over. It turns out he got new information. Matter of fact, he's got a video. Turns out he lied to the fool about Maven about getting all the money, right? Because he wanted him to get rid of Maven. But here's the kicker. The video shows Runji and the uncle in the same room at the same time, signing the inheritance. The entire thing going towards Kai and her family. Shows her in the room present, which means she knew this shit the entire fucking time. So, OMG, I know Fu is pissed the fuck off.
Episode 7, the season finale.
Episode 7, season finale. So we go back to 4 years ago when Kai first started working there. There's 5 other applicants. They had to make sure they all stripped down just so they'd be able to get the job, be able to show loyalty and all that shit. And they were going to be serving all the family there. So she's folding up towels in one room. She sees Kiki smashing Maven and shit, giving a slight indication of what this is going to be like. Then she's like cleaning up the master's room one day. Runji gets her name, starts taking pictures, stuff like that. She liked the pictures. Then she's having lunch with the other servants, right? And she tells her that she was talking to Runji. But the thing is, they find out Runji doesn't really talk to the servants like that. One particular servant, Didi, was kind of irritated hearing this. Now, they're supposed to be punctual for everything. Didi had came back to her room late one day. Kai called her trying to get her to explain. And Didi just said it was nothing, went about her business. The next day, Kai ends up going to this green room. The thing is, Runji's there too. She's got like a fascination with the room. They talk about plant life and moths. This guy's really obsessed with moths. So she's going back there later on to her and learn the history of this green room. But really, he's just trying to do some things to her. And yeah, things happen. So let's be clear. He ends up giving her the business. So he thinks she's traumatized at this point, and then she tries to find a way to escape. Then he keeps showing this flashback of Didi trying to escape, indicating that this shit happened to her too. I'm guessing she was thinking she was special until it started happening to Kai. But the thing was, Kai decided to go back. And when we came back, we found out she was in Didi's room, and Didi ended up hanging herself. I'm like, oh shit. So Kai ends up going back to the green room. For some reason, she's like fascinated with all the video slides that Runji's showing her about moths and stuff like that. So it feels like she's with it. So she gets the order from Yupin that she's only to serve the master while she's there. Which, considering how he feels about her, we kind of figured it was going to go this direction. So they've been smashing on the regular at this point. Then Runji tells Kai one day that he thinks all his siblings want him dead, so they can collect the inheritance. Then she tells him she wants to bear a child of their own. That way they'll have one obedient kid. Runji pretty much fell in love with her after that. And of course he was trying to get married to her 4 years later and all that, but here's the thing. So why would anybody think Kai would want to kill Runji? Well, hold that thought. So we get to this scene where she's like outside of the estate. For whatever reason, she's just standing in front of it. On the night of Runji's death, Fu put some hallucinogenic drug in his tea after finding out about giving Kai the necklace and all that stuff. When Fu left, Runji had locked his door for some reason. And on the tape, we see Maven trying to get inside the door where he couldn't get in. But there's a moth case inside of this room. When Maven tried to bust in, the moth case opened and it startled Runji and ended up falling out the goddamn balcony to his death. But you think of this, Runji is no way he's scared of moths. He loves moths. So maybe he hallucinated the fact that they got out the case. So how would Kai know this shit would take place like this? So she's convinced that Fu did kill Runji. The thing is, they've been video recording Fu the entire time because of the fucking dog camera. Everything was recorded on that camera goes straight to B's computer. When the boat exploded and Maven died, Joke was the one that put the camera on the boat so it could record Fu killing Maven. So she's got all this footage to turn it around on him. So Fu's ready to kill Kai, and all of a sudden all the servers pop out. We're like, what? Okay, so at this point, Fu thought he had got rid of everybody because he's basically selling the company. But it turns out they were there recording him on phones the entire time. Now, Kai at this one point just basically wants Fu to turn himself in and give himself up. And I'm guessing somehow at this point, this nigga escapes. Then we see that Terry didn't survive in the hospital. He's done deal daddy shit. Paula goes back to acting, but it looked like she's about to give a documentary or something. Keisha's just chilling, living her life in New York. Riki's trying to stay out the news because of everything that's happening with Fu. Turns out he disguised himself as getting drunk at this bar. He tried to get some money from a drug dealer or something, and then it turns out he ends up getting stabbed to death. I'm like, damn, Fu has done deal daddy shit. As far as Kai and the rest of the servants, Kai owns the estate. She got all the inheritance, and the servants living at the house, living their best life. Now, my question is, where the fuck did the uncle go after revealing all this information? Did this nigga just leave the house after Kai and Fu start explaining shit to Fu? What's his deal in all this? Guess we ain't never gonna know.
And there you have it. The masters of the house.